Hi, I'm Will. I'm from Tested. I'm here today on No Jars Allowed. This is the premium member live stream where I answer, I assume, mostly dumb questions while drinking water from this mug. It's a jar-shaped mug. It's definitely not a jar. It even says, not for canning on it. Not for hot products. So that makes it a mug, not a jar. I'm going to be answering questions as long as there's water in my mug. I'm drinking some coffee, too. It's early in the morning when I'm recording this. This is unusual. If you want to ask a question, you're watching this live, it's tested.com/live. Try to stick to the stuff that is not, hey, what should I buy? I know Christmas is coming up. I can answer some of that stuff, but if I don't know the answer, I'm just going to skip the question. So yeah, you have been warned. Our first question comes from LT Squigs. It is very straightforward. Squigs says, hey, I just got an iPhone. Are you guys going to be doing any more iPhone best of app coverage stuff? The answer is yes. Norm and I shot a bunch of this. This week. It'll go up next week. We have one for iPhone, iPad. Ryan Whitwam, who is our in-house Android expert, is writing a Android same thing for Android apps, and we're not doing best of. Best of doesn't make sense for technology because, you know, the best app for one thing could have come out in 2008 at this point. So ours are essential apps updated for as the times change. So yeah, we'll have that stuff coming up in the not too terribly distant future. I don't know exactly when that's going to go, but it'll probably go up Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday is when the first one will hit, I would guess. I'm going to scroll down and start answering questions. First time I have a sip of coffee, because it's a coffee morning. They're all coffee mornings. Scrolling down to the bottom. There's a lot of people saying good morning. Somebody says it's actually 6:30 p.m. here. Falcon is threatening me with a lot of great questions. Vincent Longa asks, after all the money you all raised for Child's Play, do you feel more obligated to us, the community? No, I mean, I'm grateful to you guys for helping us raise a kind of unbelievable amount of money for something that we did almost, like, it started as a joke during the podcast. So, I mean, when I wake up in the morning and think about sending 50 grand to those guys to give kids toys, I blew my mind. So that's awesome. And, you know, if you gave money and you have a favor, send an email to Norm. He's available. He wasn't talking much during the live show, so let's let him make up for it now. You know, put his money where his mouth wasn't. I hope he's not watching. He's airing of grievances is gonna be real rough next week. Monkeyman04, he knows what's going on here. If you had to choose one type of food to eat for the rest of your life, what would it be? Pizza. Definitely pizza. I would eat a lot of pizza for the rest of my life. Because, you know, you can make pizza that's breakfast pizza, you can make dinner pizza, you can have dessert pizza, it's bread, you can put cheese and meat on it. I'd be real fat probably, but I mean, if I could only eat one thing, pizza. Maybe hot dogs. I like hot dogs a lot. I think that's a bad idea. Faded Oasis asks, why no love for Android apps? We do iOS primarily because it's easier to capture. With Ice Cream Sandwich, that might change. You can't do, on most of the gingerbread phones that we have and have access to at least, you can't mirror HDMI out. So that means you end up shooting over the shoulder, and those videos look really, really terrible, and people complain. And they're kind of hard to watch. They don't make us look good. They don't make the apps look good. When you shoot them on a tablet, which will mirror, then instead of showing the full 1280 by 800 screen, it crops the bottom 80 pixels. So that makes most everything look shitty too. I'm hoping that Ice Cream Sandwich stuff will make capturing on Android phones much easier. We did a quick look of the Galaxy Nexus yesterday. It wasn't ours; it was a friend of the site's. But we'll see in the not too distant future if we can do more. I would like to do more Android stuff. I'd like to do more Windows Phone stuff for that matter. I'm not doing BlackBerry apps until they make an OS worth talking about. Next question is Ein Herjan. If you have a weird to pronounce name, it's cool if you give me some pronunciation help. I'm just if I'm gonna have trouble pronouncing it, you put some phonetics after it, because it's pretty well established I have trouble with pronunciation. Einherjen asks, are you going to be playing Star Wars The Old Republic? Maybe. I haven't bought it. I'm not going to buy it until after the launch window, after I get back from the holidays, if I do. I'm kind of MMO'd out, though. I played EverQuest, I played WoW, I played pretty much everything in between those. Not all the time, but enough. I guess I've never played a tank or a healer in MMO. I always played DPS classes. So if I wanted to mix it up, I could go play a tank or a healer. But I kind of don't play those because they look really boring to me. So, yeah, probably not. But maybe. I mean, I don't know. If somebody sends me a code, I'll install it and try it out. But it doesn't seem like it's worth $60 or $80 or whatever, depending on which version you get it is. My coffee's really good this morning. Shout out to Ritual Coffee in San Francisco. They make my what I'm drinking today. I think this is one of their cheap blends. It's Producer's Pride. Pretty tasty stuff. I'm pleased with what I did. Forestick asks, what kind of plant is that in the back? It's one that my wife tried to kill by putting it outside. And then I rescued it by bringing it back into the shade. Because you can tell, if it has big leaves, it's a plant designed for shade. If it has little tiny leaves, it's supposed to be in the bright sun. So putting it in the outside, it got a sunburn. No kidding. Sunburned plants. That's a thing that can happen. I'm scrolling up. Wow, so I'm on a PC today. I usually use a Mac for work kind of stuff. And I switched that natural scrolling dumbness. So now every time I sit down in front of the PC, I always go the wrong way the first 4 or 5 times I try to scroll. Evil Guest says, hey, yeah, the Topolsky-Gruber-Siegler situation as previously mentioned, which isn't actually a question, so I'm not going to talk about that. If you don't phrase your answer in the form of a question, then Alex Trebek is sad. Nick UX says, hey, I'm actually buying a webcam for my relatives. Do you recommend any in particular? The trick is to get something with hardware acceleration built on it. I think some of the newer Microsoft models have that. I'm not entirely certain. I know that the Logitech webcam that we use for the podcast, for the video podcast, which is, I don't know, it's like their 720p or 1080p. It was kind of expensive. So here's the trick. There are lots of webcams that have high-resolution sensors and then do all the processing on the CPU. That's fine if you have like a giant... I have a hexa-core PC over here beside me, so I'm okay. I can handle that. And I can still get, a solid 11 frames a second out of this. If you have something that does the encoding on the device, it won't hit the CPU as hard, and you'll actually be able to do more cool stuff with it if you have a better webcam. So I'd say get the Logitech ones that have the hardware acceleration. If Microsoft's making some of the hardware acceleration, that's okay too. But yeah, that's my advice as your attorney. And that Logitech thing also has a tripod mount on the bottom. So we have a GorillaPod that hangs from a pipe on the ceiling with the camera on it. It's real nice. You never have to move it. Joker369 says, hey, I'll be going off to college in a few years. And you misspelled college, Joker. I'm sorry. It's EGE, not AGE. In a few years, and was wondering if there were things I could do while still in high school to build toward a future career in journalism, as I really love to write. Yeah, just write a boatload. Set up a blog. Write about things you want, whether it's short stories or reviews of products or games or whatever. Get a lot of practice writing and build clips and get your writing critiqued. So there's writers' workshops in a lot of big cities, especially in colleges. And so you can take stuff that you've written and have people who are, professional editors, professional teachers, do critique of that, because that's the way you learn. I mean, when I started out writing at Max PC and at Ars Technica, the way I got better was by having my work savagely criticized at every opportunity. It's how I turned out to be the charming man I am today. It's good, especially if you have really good editors that can teach you. Basically the goal with any kind of edit is that you write something and then either you look at it and make it better, or somebody else looks at it and makes it better, and then you go back and read it and you learn. You kind of learn from the changes. So a couple of really good books for writing that I always recommend. Stephen King wrote a book. Stephen King, the guy who, The It and Shining and The Stand and all that. He wrote a book called On Writing about 10 years ago, and I think it's still relatively easy to find. It's phenomenal. It's mainly about writing fiction, but the grammar stuff and construction stuff applies to every kind of writing, I think. And then the other thing, of course, is Strunk & White's Elements of Style, which is a really, really thin, incredibly thin book. I think it's like 13 or 15 rules. I can't remember. But it's very basic sentence construction, and it's just really, if you follow the advice in those two books, you'll be a much better writer as a result. And the thing about, especially doing what I do and what Norman, Jeff, and Ryan and all those guys do, when you're writing about a special about a specific thing, so a niche. We're niche publications, games, technology, whatever. Knowledge about the niche is great and important, very important. But if you have the deepest knowledge in the world and you can't make a good sentence and you're not an interesting writer, you're never going to get that job. So you have to be an amazing writer and have a depth of knowledge about the topic that you want to write about, or you're boned. So that's my advice for you on going out to college. The high school paper, surprisingly good place to learn, to get some critique. It depends on the paper, of course, but and that'll make it easier for you to get a job at the school paper if you want to do that. I think that's probably my advice on that kind of thing. I'm scrolling up. I'm looking for more questions. Where's the beef? Says Alco. No beef. No beef in here today. Sorry. Not beefing. Beck. Chloe, be quiet. Chloe, be quiet. Chloe, be quiet. Chloe, be quiet. Bad dog. Bad. Hey, lay down. She's real barky today. Somebody's at the door, I think. Falcon asks, why isn't your podcast on the Zune Marketplace yet? And I respond to Falcon that you are not looking for it in the proper places because it is in the Zune Marketplace. I'm going to load up the Zune right now. I'm going to look for this. The chat is scrolling much faster than I can actually look. I'm going to Marketplace. I'm searching for This Is Only a Test. And let's see, podcast series. Wait, that's from my collection. Wait for it. Podcast series. This is only a test by tested. It has the big picture. I can't show you because, well, I guess I could whip the camera around. Yeah, that's exposing really badly. See, that's it right there. It's in there. I get that question a surprising amount. I don't really know why. Whoa, barf cam. Sorry about that. I don't really know why, because it's been in there since we launched, pretty much. Maybe their search is bad, it turns out. I'm going to keep adjusting the camera here. And back into the chat. What else do we have? Will, are you sick? Just mentally, Fractal. It's a pizza, not an illness right now. A little bit of cough. It's getting cold and damp out here, so I don't know what's going on with that. We talked about app of the day, hating Android. Starfury Dyson says, hey, with all the coffee talk, why no tea love untested? We did a big tea kettle once. I'm not a huge tea drinker, so part of the thing about doing this kind of site is that you have to do things that you know and that you love. And I'll drink a cup of tea if it's put in front of me. I am by no means a tea enthusiast. Vager asks, is the office getting kind of hectic with everybody doing their end-of-year stuff? Yes. Yes, it is. Forkstick, are you going to be doing a quick look of the PS Vita when we get one? Yes. Yes, we will. Beck asks, maybe an easy question, but why does playing a video online cut a game's frame rate in half? I assume you mean if you have like a game running in a window and you have a video over here in another window and you start playing the video, the game frame rate drops. It's probably because the video is using some graphics card to render. Some of the graphics card to render, but I don't know. I've never actually experienced that before. Could also be that you have your video card is a little less capable than some others. So it may not necessarily be an absolute that always happens. Fira asks, Kettle One Sky or Grey Goose? Why not just say no to vodka? I'm more of a bourbon/whiskey man. No scotch, no gin. I'll drink a vodka tonic. I'll drink a dirty martini. What else do I drink that has vodka in it? That's pretty much it. I'm more of a brown liquor guy. I even drink brown rum rather than white rum. Chloe, stop licking your feet. Stop it. Stop it. I just made the Matt Roy voice, didn't I? Boysef asks, is Kindle Fire grandmother accessible? Yay or nay? I think probably nay. I think the traditional Kindles are very grandmother accessible. I think that the Fire, second gen Fire probably will be. This not so much. Cypher asks, why is it the Whiskey Media sites have different ways of producing their podcasts? For example, you encode and process the podcast on the iMac right after recording, whereas Ryan does it the day after. Or how you do sound effects live versus post. It has to do with schedule, really. I mean, so Ryan spends 4 guys work on Bomb, and Vinny and Drew, of course. They have a lot more time and Ryan can take a half day to do the sound effects in post. It takes a lot longer to do it that way. The other thing is that they record on Monday at I think 4 or 5. So if he stayed to finish the editing and posting, he probably would be at the office until 9:30 or 10 every Monday night, which is a little bit of a drag, especially for Jeff since he rides in with Ryan most days. But yeah, it's a different strokes for different folks, man. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Wow, it's focusing weird, the camera. I haven't heard you mention the AeroPress in a while, asks Bill Clinton. Do you still use it, or have you fully converted to the Chemex? I still use it. I actually used it this morning. Chloe, stop licking your feet. Come over here. You want to come up and sit in my lap? I'm going to bring the dog up. This is what pandering is all about. Ah. Hi. Yeah, so I used the AeroPress this morning with a Coava disc. It's a really nice cup of coffee. Say hello, Chloe. Look up there. Look up there. See? Hello. Okay, now I'm never going to find anything to chat again. Why don't you lay down? Can you just lay down and be cool? It's a good dog. Go. Oh, man, all the questions are gone. Boosh asks, are you and the tested crew still playing TF2? And have you used any of the new Christmas update weapons? I haven't had time to play TF2. Norm and I were talking about this earlier this week. I realized about Tuesday that this last week is actually our busiest week of the year. You'd think it might be CES or the week before CES, but by the time we get back from Christmas break, all of the CES stuff's totally planned, and it's just a matter of executing. Whereas this week, we have to build content for the next week or two, however much we're going to go with no gap, and it's when I book all the appointments for CES and make sure we have a van and hotel rooms and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, this was a crazy busy week. And that's why we didn't do the thing that you asked us to do a minute ago. Yeah, that's pretty much it. JPE asks, any update on the mold situation in the podcast room? It turns out that the Giant Bomb guys don't know what mold looks like. What actually they thought was mold on the conference room wall is actually just salt. So apparently our basement's a little leaky and we have some efflorescence or something like that is what it's called. Everything is cool. We're not going to die in there. Well, we're not going to die of mold in there. If there's raccoons or something, maybe. Oh, yeah, so Boosh asked why we weren't playing TF2. That's why we weren't playing TF2. My intention is to play some TF2 maybe this weekend, and definitely when I get back from the holidays. Falcon wants to know, what's my beef with Rush? Do I secretly hate Canadians? Is their level of awesomeness too much for you? Or do you not like good music? That is a really loaded question. I don't like Rush because I feel like it's indulgent and overlong. And I like, if you weren't into Rush in the 80s, assuming you were alive in the 80s, it's hard to like Rush late. It's not music that lends itself to coming in way after the fact. Can you hear Chloe licking the garbage can? She's licking the garbage can behind me for some reason. Liquid Helium wants to know what my favorite Outkast album is. I know this is the easy, popular answer, but I like that Speaker Box Love Below album. There's a lot of good music in there. Sassy music. Genghis John clearly wasn't watching the end of Star Wars Galaxy's live stream the other day, because yes, the Enterprise from TNG could easily beat a Star Destroyer from Star Wars. Gordon Maung is the internet's expert on this as far as I'm concerned. He rightly pointed out that if some dude could kamikaze an A-Wing into the Executor and take it down, then the Enterprise should have absolutely no problem. Because all it would do is use the phasers and cut off the shield generator towers and then, you know, pick it apart. The rest of it's from there. Snub-nosed fighters, no match against a Galaxy-class starship. It's crazy. Crazy. Falcon is asking, I'm slow down on the questions there, Chief. Ogan Am wants to know, well, this is more of a statement, but contrary to popular belief, should one man have all that power? I'm not sure that I'm in a position to judge whether man should or should not have power. It's a metaphysical question, best left to the deep thinking minds of our time and Chloe Bananas, probably. Monkey Boy wants to know, I've been watching a bunch of Star Trek lately. Who is your all-time favorite Star Trek character? Do you want to know why, too? Because you didn't ask if you want to know why. So I'm just going to tell you, it's Spock. You can figure out why for yourself. I'm going to drink some water right now because I realize I've been doing this for a while and I haven't drunk any water from my mug. It's a jar-shaped mug, not a jar. Looks like we're about a third done with Not a Jar Early Morning Coffee Edition. I kind of need a Hoda or Kathy Lee vibe in here. We need to get a stand-up desk. So that's what I need for this. Leo Soul wants to know, I have an option between Samsung Galaxy S2 and iPhone 4S. Which would you recommend? The iPhone 4S. It's a much better phone. Unless you're really deeply invested in Android, go iOS right now. The Galaxy S2 is a fine phone, but it's not in the same ballpark as the iPhone. The Galaxy Nexus seemed pretty good, though. If you can get that, it's okay. Finally, Eternal Beta is finally converting his movie collection to digital. Well, if it was DVDs, it was digital before, but I assume you mean ripping. Is the Boxy Box still the best way to go for set-top boxes? Yes. Yeah, it's $200. That's the one thing that it does better than anything else. Our app on the Boxy Box is quite good. We can watch live streams on that. But really, for the most part, the DVD ripping, especially, it is a magical device. Because it looks at the file names, it searches what the movie is called, and it gives you like artwork and genre information, actors, and all that stuff. It's really, really good metadata, which is missing from a lot of the other streaming solutions. So, yeah, I say Boxy Box for that kind of stuff. Jonk151 says, hey, I'm building a 24 terabyte RAID. Should I use Windows Home Server or just RAID on Windows 7? I think on the current version of Windows Home Server, you can't actually do the drive mashing together thing anymore. So you probably want to get a big RAID controller for that. 24 terabytes is a lot. That's 8 3 terabyte drives, which is roughly $3 million worth of hard drives given today's prices. I would say I am not the person to ask for that. You should go someplace where you go to HardOCP and see they have a good RAID information there. And Nantec does good RAID controller stuff too. But you probably want a real RAID controller for that because you're not going to have motherboards with 8 ports that are all connected to the RAID array. Marino wants to know, what EQ server did I play on? Chloe Bananas, do you want to know that too? I played on the Tribunal. I was a bard. It was fun. I liked that game. BuckyBit wants me to say the word that means application.exe. I'm going to scroll up some. Shenstra wants to know, what are some of your favorite books and who are your favorite authors? Neil Stephenson, probably all-time favorite. I finished Reamdi the other day. It is a wonderful book. His books, I like that his books are kind of slow burns. So that's you know, you see all these divergent threads, and you don't realize how you don't see how he's going to pull them together, and then all of a sudden, in the last minute, whammo! My all-time favorite book by Stevenson is An Anthem, though. It's an amazing book. You should everybody should read that. I think, especially if you like math. Let's see what else. Charles Stross is always good. His singularity stuff is really interesting. Chloe, stop looking. I'm gonna have to get your cone. Chloe has itchy feet today. I apologize. Let's see who else. Who else I've been reading? I've been reading Murakami lately. 1Q84, which is really mind bending and awesome. I love William Gibson, of course. I mean, he's kind of a dinosaur, not a dinosaur, but a giant in the stuff that I like to read. And I really like those Patrick Rothfuss books a lot. Name of the Wind and whatever the other one is. Scalzi, John Scalzi's great. He wrote Old Man's War and some other stuff that's really awesome. I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but the guy who wrote The Android's Dream, maybe that's Scalzi too when I think about it. And then I guess that's it for right now. There's more. There's a post on my blog on the site about which authors I like best. So check that out. I'll probably post more about that later. Sorry, Awkward wants to know what my game of the year is. I don't know. There's some stuff. I haven't played much of Batman Arkham City yet, and I was quite liking that. I mean, Skyrim is the easy answer, but I kind of stopped when they broke it and then unbroke it, and I'm a little. Stop it, Chloe. Stop licking your foot. Just lay down. I mean, that and the PS3 situation on that game is a little bit of a bummer. So I don't know. You should really play Saints Row, is what Jeff would tell me to tell you. I think. I don't know. Maybe not. Citoxity wants to know, is there any way to hook up my Xbox and PS3 to my speaker system and still use HDMI? At least on the Xbox, you can still use a digital output. If you have, you can use digital or analog output and HDMI at the same time. That works. I don't know about the PS3. I think you can use the Toslink 5.1, the optical fiber out, depending on what your speaker has input-wise. The guy called Tom wants to know, what are my thoughts on fanboys? RE, the MG, Siegler, Gruber, Topolsky, spat. I think that everybody is wrong in that. I think that Topolsky. I think that Topolsky is absolutely right that Gruber and Siegler were being elitists and kind of jerks. I think that their point was valid and right, though. I think that the kind of performance and stuttering issues on Android are really holding the platform back. Come here. And are preventing people like me from switching to Android, because like I love the flexibility that Android offers, but I can't cope with the performance issues and the keyboard not being very good. Chloe really likes this microphone. I'm using the blue Snowball today, so I guess it sounds better. Nobody's complaining about sound yet. MD Obiden says, I bought a Samsung Focus Windows Phone 7 phone this summer, and after a month I went back to my 3GS. Do you recommend I switch back to the new Metro update, or should I wait for better phone overall? MB Doden. That's how you say your name. Okay, so that's at the end. I should have read that probably first. The Mango update is really good. It's worth checking out for sure. I think that Microsoft's done a really nice job with Windows Phone 7. It's quite good. Serious Inc. has a serious question. I'm flying into San Francisco today, waiting at the airport. How is the weather? I haven't been outside yet. I haven't even looked out a window yet. It looks real sunny from what I see behind me, though. It's been cold for San Francisco, which means it's probably really nice for any place else in the world. Crossbar wants to know what books I'm reading. I've already answered that, but it's I'm reading 1Q84 by Murakami right now. It's really good. It's very smart and intense and deep. Quit licking my hand. Thank you. It's a good girl. Next question is Dave Yo 520 wants to know, do you like to wear glasses more than contacts, or is it just easier? You know, I have contacts. I've had a little bit of trouble with them the last couple of years. I can't believe I'm answering this, but But yeah, no, I used to wear extended wear contacts and would wear them for like a week at a time, pretty much nonstop. And my eyes kind of revolted in the last year and a half. So I went to having to take them out every night, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. But the length of time I could wear them kept getting shorter and shorter. So where I used to be able to wear them for 17 or 18 hours without discomfort, now it's like 12. And that's not enough to get me through the day usually. So I just switched to glasses. Also, my astigmatism got worse, and the glasses are easier correction. I don't like I don't like the astigmatism correcting contacts. They're really uncomfortable. Really uncomfortable. If you can wear those, props to you. Wow, this is a grim question, Tom. Thanks. The guy called Tom wants to know: would you rather die alone but without pain, or die in severe pain surrounded by everyone you love? Dude, I don't want to answer that. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, man. That's a heavy question for 10 o'clock in the morning. Pat Bear wants to know if there's any chance of making a how-to on making hot chocolate. I enjoy your food beverage content. You know, I've been making a lot of hot chocolate lately. Drinking chocolate, not cocoa. We could probably do that in the new year. That might be a good like February kind of thing. Maybe we'll do that for Valentine's Day or something. That is a good call. The secret is to get good chocolate, of course. So yeah, there you go. I'm reading more questions. For people too terrified or stupid to put our own PCs together for fear of destroying electronics, is there a mid-range gaming PC you can recommend? Asks Genghis John. Not. I mean, I could recommend brands. We don't test that stuff, so I don't have any kind of first-hand experience with any of that. Mid-range, I know that Falcon Northwest makes, which is a small manufacturer of kind of really high-end nice PCs, makes frag boxes that are, I think they started around $1,000 and go up to probably $3,000 or $4,000. But they're basically small form factor PCs, shoebox size kind of, that are real gaming PCs, and they're quite good. Other than that, I would say go for your normal Alienware Dell XPS. The Dell XPS gaming machines, I don't even know if they still make those or not, so I'm afraid to recommend them. But yeah, we are not the people to ask for that. You should hit up some Maximum PC guys on Twitter, because they review all that stuff. MB Sharp wants to know, what's my favorite tabletop game to play while drinking? I Ticket to Ride, maybe, like not as a drinking game, but just as a game that's fun to play while having a cocktail. Ticket to Ride, Power Grid, all of those kind of German games are good. Dominion's great. Dominion's a great game to play while drinking, because there's not a whole lot of thought involved once you pick the cards, the direction you're going to go with your deck. So I'm pretty good about that. Vigo123 says, I'm thinking about getting a Kindle for Christmas. I really want the touch capability, but Amazon doesn't ship the touch or Fire to Norway. Do you know why they don't release the newer models in Europe? It's probably demand and supply issues. The touch was a little bit backordered through, at least the last time I looked still. So they just may not be able to make them fast enough, and so they limit markets so that they can at least fulfill demand in the markets that they supply. Even though you guys in Norway and Finland and Denmark and Thailand and all the other places that are secondary markets to Amazon get screwed. So sorry about that. The other thing I'd say to Genghis John about building a PC is it is much easier than it ever has been before. I mean, putting a PC together at this point, the hard part is picking out components. Putting everything together is kind of like Legos. And I think that some vendors like Tiger Direct and Newegg will even sell a kit that's like a motherboard, a case, and the CPU already installed. So then all you have to do is put the memory and the video card in. If you're worried, the only place you can really do damage is dropping the CPU in these days. So if you do that, then it's pretty straightforward. BuckyBit is telling us that Leo Laporte smashed the Galaxy Nexus in his review, and there was an internet uproar. I don't doubt that. I'd be interested to know why Leo didn't like it. I'll have to check that out. We're getting a lot of questions about podcast room mold. It's okay. It's not really mold. The Giant Bomb guys can't tell the difference between mold and salt. So it's salt from running through the walls. Maliku says, hey, have you ever checked out anything from Peter F. Hamilton? If not, would you check the books out? Even if they are 1,200 pages, each spanning multiple volumes with one story. He's the guy that wrote Blindsight, right? I really like that book a lot. I'll have to check out more of his stuff. Or is he the guy that the Dreaming Void guy? I can't remember. I'll have to check it out. Musan wants to know, how do you feel about Bluetooth headphones? The headphone jack on my Evo is breaking and I need headphones of some sort to listen to podcasts during work. I would say that if your headphone jack doesn't work, that is the only legitimate excuse for Bluetooth headphones. And you know, I hate dealing with the wires, just like everybody else, but the Bluetooth headphones, they sound okay, but they're heavy and it's just another battery to have to charge. I need fewer batteries in my life, not more. Waffles wants to know, I'm making sure Ryan's not in here now. Waffles wants to know, do you hate Ryan for making fun of your name, or is it all in good fun? It's okay. I won't tell him if you do. I do hate him. I hate him a lot. Z Forgotten wants to know, would the whiskey office be a better place to work if you guys had no pants Friday? Considering that the whiskey office is an enormous sausage fest these days, I'm going to say no. No Pants Friday would be a bad idea. Bad idea. Of course, this is No Pants Saturday morning, so, you know, maybe I'm wrong. I could be mistaken on that. Maybe No Pants, everybody be a little more chill. Kuntz is walking around in his slippers all the time. Norm doesn't wear shoes 2 days out of 3. I mean, Joey's always wearing shorts. Short pants. Short pants Joey. Yeah, I don't know. I think No Pants Friday is probably a bad. Our HR department would probably complain. Rex wants to know, when do we get a Whiskey Xbox app? If you guys want a Whiskey Xbox app, send them letters. Ask them for it. We're reaching out and working through that process, but you know, a little reader help might accelerate matters. So if you guys want to make that happen, figure out where to request stuff to Microsoft and start a campaign. I would love to have a Whiskey Xbox app. But they're inviting people. It's invite only right now. I don't know where we're at with the negotiations. I'm probably going to fuck the whole thing up by saying that and getting you guys to start writing letters. But, yeah. Evil Guest says, fine, Will. I wasn't the first to ask about the same topic and didn't want to steal his thunder. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. What are your thoughts on Topolsky's argument against Siegler and Gruber's you see it or you don't stance on iOS Android users? Okay, I think this is a more specific question. So the argument is that Gruber and MG Siegler is the guy from TechCrunch, Gruber is the Daring Fireball guy, if you don't know, basically say, look, if you're an iOS user and you see the problems with Android, meaning the frame rate hitches and the slight stuttering, then you either see it or you don't, and they kind of treated the people who see those problems as elitists and the people who don't as rubes. I feel like they are correct, but their tone was a little bit offensive, was a little bit rude. That's I would not have put it the way that Siegler put it, what he was saying. I think that the performance hitches are something that is easily measurable. We can get a high-speed camera and do... Boy, she is really sniffing the hell out of that microphone. Get back away from that. It's probably making a horrible noise on the video. Yeah, I think that they have... I think it's much simpler than either you're discerning or you're not discerning. I think that some people are more sensitive to frame rate issues, and the people who use the keyboard a lot are probably going to notice that more on Android from my experience, because the keyboard hitching, the one place that it really impacts you is when you're typing. And I type a lot on my phone, and that makes it hard to use. I'm scrolling up. Arrow wants to know, when is Chloe going to get her own jar series? So does that mean it is just Chloe in a room with a jar drinking water and barking? Because she'll do that right now. She's in. I want I would like 10% of the proceeds from that as her agent and manager. Chloe, are you having trouble sitting on my lap? Why are you climbing up on the desk? This is a bad idea. Monk well, hey Monk. Monk wants to know if I have advice for writing essays, as he finds it quite testing. Yeah, my advice is just sit down and get to it. Oh, Chloe, be calm. If you once you get in a groove, then 300, 500,000, 1,500 words, however much you have to write. I mean, when you get rolling, you can do 1,000 words an hour pretty easily. Especially if you've already done the research and you can write off the cuff basically. So that is my advice: is do your research up front, take good notes, and then just write. And the more you write, the better you'll get at it. Chloe, you're really squirmy today. I know this is not the ideal seating position for one of your furriness. Inert Coctopus wants to know just how messy is your desk. It's messy. It's really, really messy. Gary was offended by it, and I mean, I saw Gary's house before. He had a girlfriend that lived with him, and he's in a position to judge messy. Le Saboteur, compared to other guys at your office, how often do you play video games? I don't really know how much every other person plays video games. I'd say I'd probably play less. I'd probably play more than Norm. Although, I don't know, does StarCraft count as a video game for him? Because he plays a fair amount of StarCraft still, I think. I played more than Norm and less than the Bomb guys for the most part. And way less than Vinny. Infinitely less than Vinny. I usually, my normal video game play is about 10 o'clock. I'll fire up the Xbox or the PC or something and play for about 25 minutes and then fall asleep with the controller in my hand. So I'm a lot of fun. Hershey's07 asks, cake or pie? I'm going to go with pie. I like pie. I like a good fruit pie. I like a cream pie. I like custard pies. Key lime pie is fantastic. Pumpkin pie. Who wouldn't like pumpkin pie? I make my own crust in the whole 9 yards. Cake's fine. I've got no beef with cake, but I'm a pie man. Monkeyman04 says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for CES? I'm at about an 8.5 right now. I was earlier this week. I was probably a 2. So it's one of those things that goes up and down, and it'll peak when we load the last person in the car and start the drive out in the van. For the long haul. This year we're taking more people than will fit in one van, so some people get to fly. I'm driving, but yeah, I'm excited. We have a good mess of content planned for you guys this year. We're gonna be doing live shows every night, starting on Monday night. Probably do a little short one to test the streaming stuff out on Sunday, I guess. But yeah, we're doing live stuff every night. We're doing daily wrap-ups and all that stuff, going to all the press conferences, going out on the floor. Wes and Matt are going to be there, so they're going to help us out and help us find more stuff. Last year, we realized pretty quickly that we weren't getting to see as much stuff as we wanted to, just because it takes we learned a lot last year. It takes a lot of time to do the video stuff, so you kind of need some scouting, and so Wes and Matt are going to be doing that and helping us out on video and being on the live stuff, and it'll be fun. I'm really excited about it. Last year, I think I've said this publicly, maybe I haven't. Not that I didn't have fun doing trade shows and stuff when we were at Maximum PC, but last year I had the most fun I've ever had at a trade show at CES. It was a blast, even though it's also unbelievably hard work. It was a good time, and got to meet a bunch of good people and all that kind of stuff. Alistair Cat says, do you get disheartened by the relatively low number of users compared to Giant Bomb, or do you feel good content will bring bigger numbers eventually? Yeah, I feel really good about the amount of users we have. I mean, Giant Bomb is a 4-year-old site, a 3.5-year-old site at this point. So, I mean, we're a year and about 9 months in, and we're doing more than 1 million, well over 1 million visits a month, and closing in on about 1 million unique users a month, which is really good for a relatively new site. I mean, a lot of that is that we do have good overlap with the Giant Bomb audience, but the other part of it is that, I mean, I think we're making really good content, and that, I mean, it's just you can launch a site very quickly with some sort of dramatic split or something like that from other stuff, or by spending a whole bunch of money. But we're kind of doing it the old school organic way, and just making the best stuff that we can make. And I mean, hopefully you guys will tell your friends about us, whether they're technically savvy or not. I mean, because the thing we're trying to do is make something that's interesting for people who are nerds about this stuff, but also useful and informative for people who aren't. So yeah, I mean that's our goal. I'm really happy with the speed at which our site's growing, and like, I mean, if you look at like our YouTube channel and that stuff, we're getting pretty good traction on not everything, but a lot of stuff, and our site traffic is really quite good. So especially considering we don't have a giant wiki product database to pull people in to and aggregate content and stuff. So yeah, I'm stoked about it. I mean, I'd always like to have more people. You know, it's nice to have more people. But yeah, please tell your friends if you like what we do. Swim asks another podcast question. Why do you encode the podcast as a VBR as opposed to Giant Bombcast, which encodes as a CBR? I record all my MP3s as VBR. That's why I do that as VBR. I think that there's problems with some really old MP3 players when you do VBR, but you get better audio quality at a lower overall bit rate with VBR, is my experience. Chloe is climbing up on the desk now. What are you doing up there? You're a weird dog. Indiana says Valve will be at CES. What do you think they're there for? Big screen mode for Steam? Man, I hope so. That would be awesome. That is the perfect place to launch that type of a feature for their product. I would love to see big screen mode. My guess is that there's some sort of content partnership with some PC builders too, if that's the case. I'm not going to answer origin stories here because, you know, Evading Fade wants to know, how did Norm and I meet? And I think, well, Norm was the intern at PC Gamer while I was working at Max PC for a long time. And, you know, I say intern, but he worked there from the time he was like 15 or 16 as the intern and all the way, you know, through college. I mean, always at company events and stuff like that. And started playing games together. So, I mean, Team Fortress and Battlefield and stuff like that, Norm was always around. So, and realized we have many things in common. So yeah, that's how I met Norm. And then Trace Velocity wants to know how Norm and I became good buds with Gary. And that was, I think, I can't remember. I think Greg Viederman, who was a former editor-in-chief of PC Gamer, the first time I met Gary was probably when I helped Greg build a PC for Gary years ago, and then Gary started playing Team Fortress with us. I really think we all started hanging out together. There was a crowd of us. Jeremy Williams, who works on Core now, you know, the PlayStation thing. Gary, Norm, me, the Team FU guys. So like you'll see these guys in the forums. Magazine is one of those guys. Bytor is one of those guys. We have a good, like, we had a small, see, we played in the 7v7 ladders in the TFL or CFL or something like that, and just played it was basically like an after school league for Team Fortress, and had a lot of fun. And yeah, so that's how I got to know Gary, and really how I got to know Norm too. I mean, I knew Norm before that, but that was obviously where it took off, I guess. I'm reading more questions. Ritz Creek Rap wants to know if we are doing any Tech of the Year awards or anything like that. Wow, that is some mad autofocus problems. There we are. Yeah, well, so I think the of the year things are kind of lame for tech. If you think about how technology works, like if you want to do laptop of the year, it's almost always the thing that came out closest to the end of the year. So it's real boring. Like, you know, my laptop of the year would probably be a 13-inch MacBook Air at this point, or maybe one of the newer Ultrabooks. I don't care about that stuff. I don't think it's very interesting content. I don't think it's fun to read. It's definitely not fun to write. What I much prefer doing is telling people about things that are just awesome. Like so we're going to go back and revisit the thing we did last year. I don't think we called it our favorite things. That's what we always called it secretly. And of course, Oprah's gone now, so maybe we can take our favorite things back. But yeah, we'll definitely do that. But I don't like limiting it to just this year, because there's plenty of interesting stuff that came out last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever, that's still as relevant today as it was a year and a half ago or when it came out. So I don't want to leave that stuff out. But yeah, I think that's good stuff. I think that's definitely something we'll do. Scrolling up and looking for more questions. Conmused wants to know, with Anna leaving for New York, is there a new dedicated video producer for Tested? Right now, Thomas is filling in for us in that gap. He's gonna come to CES with us and all that. We got a couple more people on the production side coming to CES as well. We'll leave some surprises for later. But yeah, there's definitely a hole there. I mean, Anna is not a replaceable person, and I mean, she did really good stuff for us for a long time, and I was bummed to see her go. So. But she's moving back to New York for the right reason, so I don't begrudge her that, and I'm glad she's doing what's right for her. So, props to Anna, and thanks for a really awesome year and a half. Windsword wants to know, with the overwhelming mediocrity of the Beats by Dr. Dre headphones, what has allowed them to amass such popularity? The sound's all right, but there are better headphones for a third of the price. Windsword, what you are talking about is marketing. So instead of making a quality product and assuming word of mouth is going to spread that like we do at Tested, they built an okay product and then spend millions and millions and millions of dollars marketing it so that people who don't take the time to learn how to learn about purchases. Man, I just made that worse. This camera being tilty is driving me crazy. I don't know, that might be worse. Yeah, so they spend millions of dollars marketing it so that people who don't know what they're doing and don't know what to buy and don't know to go to HeadFi or one of the sites like that to find out what headphones they should buy, just buy what they saw the ad on TV for. And they made the mistake of trusting Dre. I'm disappointed in Dre, man. The same thing applies to beer, Budweiser and all that. I mean, Budweiser makes some really, really terrible beer, but because they spend millions of dollars on advertising, they sell a whole shitload of it. So, you know, this is when people say don't trust marketing, this is what they mean. You can advertise your way out of a mediocre product. Rudy wants to know, says, hey, it's snowing I'm going to start this over again. Rudy says, it's snowing for the first real time in Columbus, Ohio today. Will, when was the last time you enjoyed winter snow? It snowed when we were in Tennessee last year at Christmas, which was awesome. I love it. I love, as somebody who lives in a temperate climate, 11 months of the year, I love going back to Tennessee and seeing some real snow. I think that's really good. I think we're going to go to Tahoe in the springtime sometime this year, so I'll enjoy that as well, I'm sure. I am looking at questions, and the guy called Tom wants to know, when are you guys going to build Jeff Green's computer? I was talking to him about it the other day. It seems like it's going to be after the start of the year, maybe even after CES, because he's really busy right now with his end of the year stuff, and we're really busy with end of the year stuff, and I'm leaving on Monday, so yeah, we're pretty much boned. NTNWWNet says, I'm driving up to the city from Santa Cruz for the weekend. Where's that grilled cheese place you mentioned on the podcast a few weeks back? It's in Embarcadero 2 in the corner on the ground floor. It's called The Melt. You can find it on the internets. Wow. Beck says, this is just a fun fact. A fun fact about where I live, Winnipeg is considered the coldest place in the world with a population over 600,000 people. It's negative 40 degrees Celsius weather. That's also negative 40 degree Fahrenheit weather, as I understand. And 70 kilometer an hour winds, which is roughly like 1,000,000 miles an hour, I think. My question is, could you ever live in an environment such as mine? I'm sure I could. The question is, do I want to? And the answer to that is no. I respect you more for it. I have to say, I read American Gods. The first time I read American Gods, which is a Neil Gaiman book, another one of my favorite authors. But first time I read that about, there's a really great section about winters in Minnesota, northern Minnesota. And they're talking about like taking plastic and taping it over the windows just to add an extra layer of insulation on the already insulated windows. And I thought, man, it would be really cool to spend one winter in a place that's cold enough that you have to do crazy shit like that. So yeah, maybe at some point. Honestly, the way they insulate houses in California, it's almost colder here when you're inside than it was when we lived in Tennessee and actually had real winter. So yeah, if I had this to do over again, I probably would have gutted this place and insulated done real insulation through the whole house, because it is real drafty in here, and there are some ancient windows. Insecticutor says, I'm looking for a new desk chair. Any recommendations? Yeah, I have a ton. My biggest recommendation is don't buy desk chairs from places like Costco and Office Max and all that. Those are not quite always, but pretty much, they just don't hold up. So you'll spend $100 on a chair that'll last a few years, maybe 2 or 3 years, or you could spend $250 on a chair that'll last forever. The chair that I'm sitting in right now is 11 years old. I bought it in 2000. I use it every single day. It has held up unbelievably well. The upholstery is good. The padding is still not blown out, and it doesn't like wobble or make noise or anything. Everything works. So my advice is to go, if you don't want to spend $300 or $400 on a new task chair from a real office supply place, go find a used office furniture place and buy what would have been an expensive chair for like $200. You can get a nice Herman Miller chair for $250 or $300. You can get an Aeron for like $400, and they're usually closer to $800 or $1,000. And you might even be able to find M bodies and stuff like that now. But get a good task chair, adjustable back, adjustable arms, adjustable height. Those are the only 3 things that really matter. All the rest of it's kind of gravy, and you should be good from there. Forkstick wants to know, with touch technology being implemented in almost everything, what can developers do to make them more friendly towards blind people? That is a really good question. I know that there are a lot of people working on haptic stuff, so the screen actually has some texture rather than just the vibration that's in like Android phones and stuff like that now. Beyond that, I don't really know. I think that's something that I'm sure people at places like Microsoft Research and the Google Skunkworks and all that stuff are working on. Rem Present wants to know when we're going to see the next episode of Tested the Show. We shot about half of one. It's on hold because we have some other stuff cooking right now that is, I don't want to say more awesome than Tested Show, but awesome in a similar way. Nothing. We're not ready to talk about that yet, but soon. Not real soon, but in the not unforeseeable, at an indeterminate period of time in the not too distant future, there will be something that is roughly analogous to Tested the Show, we hope. Maybe. That was kind of an unanswer. I'm going to have another sip of water from my mug. It's not a jar. It even says on the bottom, not a jar. You can't read that because it's white on white. When my mug's empty, the show's over. So it looks like we got about a quarter, maybe a third to go. I'm still answering questions here. It's tested.com/live. I post this. So if you want to know how to find this, you got a couple of ways. There's the Premium Whiskey channel, which is at Premium Whiskey on Twitter. You can follow that. It'll tell you when there's a notification. Another new thing that happened just the other day is, oh damn, I can't. I'm loading the page now. I'm scrolling down. I'm scrolling the wrong way because I'm on a PC. Vager actually built a Twitter bot that looks at our APIs and sees when there's a live show coming up. So that account is, I don't remember what the account is, but it's on the homepage, so you can go find it, and you can set it up to give you a text notification when a live show starts. Now I've blown out the exposure on the webcam by going to an all-white page. Damn you, Will. Monk wants to know if there's such a thing as a cheap living room 5.1 speaker set. This is a really good question. For a long time, you could buy those Klipsch Pro Media PC speakers, and they were pretty good for living room if you had a small living room. I don't think they make the 5.1 Pro Medias anymore, so you're boned on that front. But let's see, what else? Logitech makes their 5.1 set. It's okay. It's a little bit expensive for what it is. They're the only ones really making a high-end 5.1 set for PCs anymore. But it does have Toslink in. It doesn't do HDMI, which is kind of the gating factor. But I would look at that. I think it's like $250, and those speakers sound fantastic. So there you go. I'm scrolling up. Evil Guest wants to know, which grilled cheese sandwiches and soups have you tried at the Melt? What can you recommend? The one in Stanford officially opens today. I tried the Italian one and the stock one, and both were quite tasty, but a little bit overpriced. It's a little bit expensive. Osiris wants to know, since you hate your loud PC, will you build Jeff Green's PC silent, i.e. giant, but a good aftermarket CPU and GPU cooler? So the funny thing about my machine is it's in a great case. It's in the Silverstone, I think it's the Raven, the first generation one. So it's the one where they tilt the motherboard so the video card and all that stuff blows out the top. It's really good for overclocking. It's not so good when you put a giant 2-slot video card in it for loudness purposes. Honestly, if the case was just a little bit shorter, it would slide under my desk, and then you wouldn't be able to hear it at all. So maybe I should put lifts on my desk so it comes up another ½ inch, and I could get the PC under there. I don't know. I think the next thing I'm going to build is a really small form factor that's very quiet with water cooling. I think that's my next plan. I have a good CPU cooler on it. The CPU cooler is crazy quiet. The problem is the video card. The video cards are always damn loud. Wesley Fenlon asks, wait, I'm supposed to wear pants? Not you, Wes. Everyone else, though. I am reading more questions. Megazoom says, does Whiskey Media have an official IT guy / department, or is it just you and Norm that are stuck helping everybody since you are the official tech guys? That's a funny question. Yeah, we don't have an official IT department. So we pay an outside company to manage our LAN and internet connection, our high-speed internet connection. I think they're Rocket Science or something like that. I don't know what they're basically a consultant agency for small companies like us. We don't have a whole lot of IT issues. As a general rule, we're a pretty tech-savvy company. Everybody knows how to keep their own computers running. Most people are running on Macs except for Rory. And kind of like Vinny manages the video production computers so that they stay up to date and running. When people have problems or questions or whatever, then Norm or I'll help always, of course. But yeah, most people just kind of, the engineers are pretty self-sufficient, and most everybody else in the office is able to keep their own stuff running. So we don't have a whole lot of problems. It's been pretty good. DataRez wants to know, how's the office been with no HR to hound you anymore? I miss HR. Melissa was really awesome. So losing Melissa was a real bummer. I'm glad she found a job that she's super stoked about. I know she's really excited in her new gig, but yeah, we definitely miss Melissa. We joke about Melissa hounding us, but Melissa never hounded us. Melissa's awesome. Helicopter Spy wants to know if I have any tips for making the ideal cup of coffee with a regular French press. I'm gonna drink some water. Yeah, I do have tips. 17 grams of water for 1 gram of coffee. And then what you need to do, this is the tricky part, put that in there, put the water in at about 205 degrees Fahrenheit, about 98 Celsius, I guess. 97 Celsius, I can't remember what the conversion is. And let it sit for 3 minutes, 4 minutes at the outside. The trick is to weigh the coffee, weigh the water, and make sure your coffee's ground the right coarseness. And then literally let it sit for 3.5, 4 minutes. Don't put the water in when it's 212 degrees. You will scald the coffee and get kind of bitter taste and badness. Butt Monkey wants to know, how much are you looking forward to the drive home from CES? Yeah, that I'm not looking forward to at all. But at least this year we're driving on Friday and not Saturday or Sunday or something, so I have a full weekend to recuperate. I'm really excited about that. Chris Tilton wants to know, do corgi paws really smell like corn chips? If your corgi paws smell like corn chips, you might want to get your dog checked out because he or she may have a yeast infection. Chris Tilton. DataRez says, when are you getting the wiki? Actually, it's hard to find all your information on a certain product, especially if it's older. Yeah, we know. The wiki is, I don't want to say it's on indefinite hold because it's still stuff happening. Basically, in order for, this might be too technical, but why not? We'll show how the sausage is made. For the most part, our wikis on the existing sites are relatively flat. So there's concepts and there's games and there's people and there's franchises, stuff like that on Giant Bomb, but there's not a real hierarchy, an ontology of words that branch down off of that. So there's not, while you know that there's a relationship between a franchise and a game, and the site has that, it doesn't have a lot of the stuff that maybe could happen automatically if you have an ontology, like all of the games that include a certain concept. Basically, we have to redesign the way we do the ontology in order for a tech wiki to work, because you've got to have the hierarchy of all the stuff so that you can have breadcrumb trails down from PC to laptop to all that. And there's a whole bunch of technical stuff that we've had to do. So they're basically doing a kind of new version of the wiki software right now, and that's in progress. We stopped and started it a couple of times just because there's other stuff that had to happen. One of the things when you're a small company is if you have a situation where you need where you have an opportunity to make money, then you drop what you're working on and you go to the thing that you can make money on. At different times we've pushed things like getting subscriber features done and stuff like that ahead of the tested wiki. And it's going very slowly. I don't think it's going to happen in the foreseeable future. I think it will happen eventually. We're not going to do anything until it's awesome. So that's at this point, assume don't call us, we'll call you. A lot of people now are complaining about static. I think that was when Chloe was licking the mic, probably. Sorry about that. I'm going to scroll up. Oh, wow. Questions must have stopped or chat broke, one or the other. I'm not sure. Yep. Or maybe it was chat that broke. Svepi says, having just broken my Nexus 1 yesterday, I'm looking to upgrade. I'm a no overlay guy, so the Galaxy Nexus seems like the obvious choice. I'd be buying it off contract. Is it worth it? Man, that's tough. I might, if you're off contract, I might, oh, hold on, off contract. Yeah, if you're buying it off contract, I would look probably at used Galaxy S's, Nexus S's rather, and see if you can find a Nexus S, or alternately a phone that you can run Ice Cream Sandwich on. If you can get like an Incredible 2 or something like that, that's supported by Cyanogen or one of the third-party mods, that you can get Ice Cream Sandwich without a stock Ice Cream Sandwich without having to pay $750 for the Galaxy Nexus, I would say do that. I don't know, $750 is a lot for the Nexus for any phone off contract, I think. So yeah, that's what I would say. Falcon wants to know, the BlackBerry boat is taking on more water than a third world country would know what to do with. Should RIM adopt Windows Phone? I think that is not a good idea for RIM. I think you're probably the only person in the country that would think adopting Windows Phone is a right strategy for RIM, given that the only business that they have is tied to that BlackBerry Enterprise server. I think that they just need to get their shit together and ship a product. That's my advice. In the time they've taken to ship a product, Nokia's come out. We've been through 3 generations of Windows phones almost. So, Dr. Coleslaw is asking a question that I'm not going to answer. Dirty Data says, with iPads and tablets being integrated in the beginning of a kid's schooling, do you ever feel that a diamond age will come true? So a diamond age is a story about a bunch of kids who, I'm going to, big spoilers here. It's a story about smart books. So it's about a book that is technologically very advanced. It has, it's net connected and basically kind of e-inky, and is attached to like real human beings at certain times. It gives an interactive kind of educational, it's essentially an educational game that teaches everything that somebody needs to know, from basic math up to like graduate level stuff. I don't think that that's a bad thing necessarily. I think more education is something that can't hurt humanity. I think if we can educate, anything we can do to kind of kickstart education throughout the world is a good thing. And I think, yeah, I mean, if you look at it, if you look at societal problems, like once there are problems throughout, obviously, but once you move from like agrarian cultures to pre-industrial to industrialized, if you can if that instead of taking 3 generations takes 2 generations or 1 generation, then you can have the developing world can develop much faster, and I think that's a good thing for everybody. You know, giving people jobs and ways to earn so that they can eat and live better is not a bad thing. Ritz Creek Grapp wants to know, will there be a CES drive stream? Yes. Yes, it will. This is a good idea, Waffles. Waffles says, how much has the office changed since a year ago? I'd love to see an updated office tour. That's something we should probably do. I think that's a good idea. We haven't done that since we moved into the office. So there's some video card questions that I'm not going to answer pointedly. Monk wants to know, can I give a teaser for the new merch that we mentioned on the podcast? There's some new tested merch coming. We mentioned it on the podcast. Thanks, Chloe, for the barking. One of the things that Chloe does, it's quite charming until you live with her for a few years, is anytime she hears a 2-stroke motor, she barks at it. I live in a neighborhood with a lot of people. There's some kids with dirt bikes. There's a lot of people that mow their lawns with 2-stroke motors. A fair number of weed eaters and stuff like that. Somebody's mowing their lawn right now, and Chloe hears the 2-stroke motor and does not like that and is barking. Well, kind of doing the quiet, the little under her breath. Woof, woof. Looks like we're closing in on the end of this holiday. No jars allowed. That mug is pretty full. Laughing Man 6 says, are there any plans to have the Whiskey Media live shows supported in Safari and iOS? This is kind of more of a Dave question than a me question. I think the reason we don't support that is actually that our chat stuff is real JavaScript intensive, and Safari and iOS doesn't actually have the horsepower to run it at any kind of a real frame rate. I would love that. Like, my favorite thing in the world would be to sit and watch live stuff on my Roku in the living room and have the chat open on the iPad, so I could just, I think that would be really cool. It's like, if you look at what we're doing, the number of people we have on iOS right now on every site but tested, it's way less than 10%. Tested, it's actually a little bit more than 10%. So I mean, you guys are real heavy iPad, iPhone users, which I guess, and Android. Mobile in general is like 14% of our overall visits now. I would like to see maybe I don't know if the chat stuff is accessible in the API, but maybe somebody could build an app that's that accesses chat through the API for iOS and Android. That would be pretty cool. I don't know if we can do that. I'll talk to Dave about it when I'm back after the holiday. DRP23 wants to know, what's a good web host / domain registrar for small personal sites and blogs? I use DreamHost for that. Not something I haven't tested a whole bunch. I've used DreamHost for probably 8 years now. They've been really good the entire time. It's a small company, or at least it feels like a small company, which I like. They have pretty good tools for like easy installs of stuff like WordPress and Gallery and all those kinds of plugins. And yeah, I mean, and they let you, the domain registration's inexpensive through them. They don't trap you on there. I like them a lot. It's, I think, dreamhost.org or .net. I can't remember which. But for $10 a month or whatever it is for hosting, it's not bad. For shared hosting. Looks like I've got about 2 more sips. Shenster wants to know, will you ever do any new What's in Your Bag videos? Yeah, I think we should probably do some before CES to see what our loadouts look like before we go to CES. Because I think that's really interesting how people kind of cover trade shows and stuff like that. We're about at the end of questions. Robotic Cheese says, blueberries a grapefruit or the best fruit? If I'm ranking berries, it is okay, there's two rankings for berries, right? There's what you get at the grocery store, and then there's what you get like fresh. Like go out to the field, pick it, don't even maybe brush it off on your shirt, and then pop it right in your mouth. If you're going out in the field and popping it right in your mouth, I think blueberries are the best fruit because they're awesome, taste lovely, full of antioxidants, really good for you. They don't travel that well. If you're looking at stuff you can get in the store or farmer's market or whatever, strawberries number 1, blueberries number 2, raspberries number 3, blackberries down somewhere below that. If you ever get a chance to have white raspberries, you should try them. They're really amazing. They don't travel at all. You got to like pick them and eat them later that day because they get all mushy and gross. Kale wants to know when was the last time I completely shaved my face. I think it was about a year, maybe 6 months before I started working here, so it was probably mid-2009. It's probably about time. I feel like I don't remember what my face looks like anymore, and I think it's getting taller. I feel like maybe my hairline's going back. I don't know, but I feel like I have more face vertically than I used to. It's weird. This camera angle is not real. This is real wide angle camera on this thing too. I don't know what's going on with that. Looking for a couple more questions. Helicopter Spy wants to know, says, I'm always getting mobile versions of the sites on his iPhone, of all sites, and it annoys the hell out of me. Is there a way to set defaults to get desktop versions without third-party browsers? I thought that they were going to add that to iOS 5, but I don't know if that made it or not. I'm going to look right now. It'll be in Safari settings if that's the case, and I think this is a great video here. Accept cookies, fraud warning. No, they didn't put it in. I don't think. Yeah. I think our sites, if you click the full site link at the bottom of the page, will actually give you set your cookie to always do the full version of the site. Wow, that was weird focus stuff there. Yeah. Beyond that, I don't know. Robinson wants to know, is Matt Braga coming back to CES with you? Braga's going to be there. Full force. He's our Canadian reporter. He's covering all things Canadian. We expect total coverage of the RIM Pavilion and the Canadarm. So, there you go. And Rudy wants to know, is that tap water or filtered water? It is filtered from my refrigerator. It has a filter in it. I don't know that I think that's a good thing or not, but it works. It's fine. JP wants to know, are you guys having an office Christmas party this year? We had a quiet little party on Thursday. It was nice. Dan Meiser did a lovely job setting it up, and we had some awesome pizza and just beer and cocktails and good time. Dan's a hell of a bartender too. I don't care what anybody says about him. He's okay. Well, that wasn't all the way empty. Oops. That'll do it for this No Jars Allowed, this special holiday edition. I probably won't be back until after Christmas. So I hope you guys all have a happy holiday and safe and spend time with family and play awesome video games and do whatever the hell it is you want to do that makes your holiday awesome. I will see you guys later this year. Be sure to stay tuned. We got good stuff coming up on Tested the next 2 weeks. Giant Bomb's doing some crazy live stream stuff next week, assuming they can make it work. I don't know. I'm not sure I think it's a good idea, but I think it's a dumb idea and an awesome idea. So there you go on that. And yeah, I hope everybody who's traveling has a safe holiday, and that the Fat Man brings you what you want for Christmas, if that's your thing. Or anyway, until next time, I'm Will. This has been No Jars Allowed. We'll be back later. Bye.